Hey, it's Green Machine Comics, and it's your boy Green Machine. What's the other thing people say? Oh, everybody's been requesting this next video.
What's going down?
This is what the other YouTubers with a bigger following do. We don't normally start videos like that. No. You know, we get superpowers. We're almost to 50. We get 50 people. We get 50 subs. We get our first superpower.
We're getting close.
I think it's like jump cuts.
Yeah.
We start jump cutting videos. You know, at 100 we have to pick our alignment, right?
Ooh.
Yeah. We pick either good, like Philip DeFranco or Boogie, or we pick evil, like Keemstar and
Chaotic neutral.
Keemstar. There's only one chaotic neutral, and that's iDubbbz, and
Okay.
he's pretty much judge, jury, and executioner of YouTube. He's Judge Dredd. Like, if you say his name 3 times, he shows up and he decides if he's gonna like end you.
But this has to be like in a dark bathroom on a mirror, right?
All right, so we're gonna get into our comic reviews for the week. We have a lot of comics to get through, and they're all great. Well, mostly great. There was one really terrible one. We'll talk about it. Let's see. The first book is Uncanny XMen, and Uncanny XMen is still awesome. So if you've just been joining us for Uncanny XMen, basically. The X-Men have been gone. They've been dead. The world has forgotten about them. Many of them have died, mostly due to the Sony trademark fight, I guess you could say. But the reality, the storyline is most of them have been died or scattered or captured. So Wolverine and Cyclops have gone about freeing some of them, and they're trying to reestablish the X-Men. And in the meantime, they've got to tangle with some old foes. One of them is Dark Beast. Dark Beast is in play. So that's pretty cool. And I saw the list of old foes that they have to tangle with, and there was like the Shadow King and a few others. So it looks pretty good. And this is still a great read. As somebody who's not a big mutant fan, I'm having the best time with Rosenberg's Uncanny X-Men run. Rosenberg and LaRocca, and I should give everybody their credit. So
In general, man,
that guy's amazing. Yeah, my favorite writer for Marvel right now, next to Donny Cates.
yes.
They're like neck and neck.
Venom.
Although, did you know Donny Cates was getting death threats for Venom? I thought it was such a great twist, and people are mad about it.
I liked it. But,
I-
there are guys who are really invested in the way things were.
Right, I get it, but yeah, you guys go a little too far sometimes. Let's just, if we want new stuff and we want things to change but also stay the same, we have to be somewhat supportive sometimes, I guess. I don't know. I had a good time with Venom. I would never give Donny Cates death threats if I didn't have a good time, though. Okay, so Uncanny X-Men is, I would say this is a must-buy if you're an X-Men fan. If you're an X-Men fan, you should be on board with Uncanny. It's great. If you're a Marvel fan, it's great. Jump in. If you're a DC fan, you want to dip your toes into something Marvel that's good, I'm having the best time with Uncanny X-Men, so jump in. Next is Adventures of Super Sons, and can we talk about how great this run has been?
Yes.
Oh, God, it's been gorgeous. So the premise seems a little cheesy. Like, the Super Sons are out in space. They encounter some space aliens that were obsessed with Earth's villains. So they've made themselves into duplicate versions of them. There's a Rex Luthor, a Joker Jr., pretty much Deathstroke Jr. There's a, oh, God, what is it? Brainiac 6?
All right.
So, I've been having such a good time with this. Right now, they're on a prison planet. They've got to escape the prison planet and pretty much fight Rex at the same time and fight the guards. And it's great. I'm having the best time with Super Sons. I think a big portion of it is it's drawn very, very well. And it's written the characters are flawed and it's fun. And it's weird to say this, but Jonathan Kent as Superboy is terribly flawed in the story, and it's amazing. I love it. I'm having the best time with Super Sons, so if you're a DC fan, jump in. If you like comics with less realism and more just sort of escapism fun, this is the book for you.
A little bit of angst.
Yeah, a little bit. Next, we're going to talk about Star Wars Vader Dark Visions. This book was totally awesome.
Okay.
Was absolutely absurdly good.
That's what I was
It was great. Who wrote this? Hopeless. I don't know a writer named Hopeless. She is not hopeless. He is not hopeless. Whoever this person is.
Can we talk about that cover art
Oh, the cover art is gorgeous. The reason it looks like this, let's talk about this. So there's a big space battle going on in space, and there's a planet that has an infestation. It has one giant creature that like eats through the living and everything else. So these people used to live topside. Now they only come to the top side when it sleeps. They call it slumber. It sleeps for like 5 days. So they come up, they gather food, and then they go back down into the tunnels. And this thing just pretty much tears through everything. It's a big dragon-looking creature, okay? So Vader's in the space battle. Vader lands on the planet while telling his troops to, handle the battle so he can refit his ship. The second he gets out, that creature leaps to life. And he immediately starts fighting this creature. A dark knight fighting a dragon. And so cool. And only one of the people that have moved underground, only one of them stays topside like a young boy, and he watches the whole fight. And it's great. It's so great. It's like a modern space folklore legend.
A little bit of fantasy.
Oh, so good.
That's dope.
But Star Wars is fantasy. Have you ever realized that? A lot of people don't realize this. Star Wars is the hero's journey, but it's also a fantasy story. There's wizards, there are knights, and they've made them space versions. It's cleverly disguised as science fiction. Yeah, I know. Mind-blowing. Let's talk about something else that's really mind-blowing. Let me take a drink of ramen first so my throat doesn't give out.
Right into it, aren't you?
My pick of the week, which should be everyone's pick of the week, is Doomsday Clock. Now, Doomsday Clock the Watchmen have been messing with the timelines of the DC Universe. We find out why. Dr. Manhattan sees a fight with Superman on Mars. That's all he sees is one final punch of Superman coming up and punching him in the face, and then it blacks out. So he has been removing people from the timelines to sort of try and avoid that fight, try and avoid some way of him getting killed. And it's totally messed up. He doesn't know if he gets killed. He just can't see past that point. It's totally messed up. One of them that made me so furious was like issue 6, where he talks about Alan Scott being in the train wreck and getting the magic lantern, which was like the OG Green Lantern. And basically he got it in the train wreck and it saved his life. Dr. Manhattan goes and moves it 6 inches to the right, so he never gets it. So Alan Scott is never a thing. And I was so livid about this. It seems very, selfish and foolish. It's pretty wild. This whole thing is wild. And we saw the last time, there was a Russian attack that looked like Firestorm went off. And meanwhile, Superman jumps in there and he says, you guys need to calm down. We are not the enemies. All metahumans are not the enemies. And Batman gets on comms to him and he's like, yo, you need to stop talking. Just stop talking. You're essentially picking a side. Stop whatever you're doing. And everything goes about as sour as it can go. It's very Cold War-ish. This storyline has been building towards an apocalyptic event, it feels like. And it feels very much like the OG Watchmen. I hate to say it. It really does. They've done a fine job. It's Jeff Johns, right? I think it's Jeff Johns right in this one. Let me just double check. Well, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's Jeff Johns writing Doomsday Clock, but don't quote me. I have memory issues from TBI in the Army, so sometimes I get things confused. But it's excellent writing. This story is amazing. It is brutal. It is way brutal. If you don't like escapism in your comics, you're probably not going to like this, but if you don't like escapism that's not gritty, I guess you could say. You like fun escapism. This probably isn't for you, but everyone else, you should totally be on board. These books are amazing. My only complaint is they come out every 3 months, it feels like?
Yes.
God, man, they haven't found a deadline they can't hit, or they haven't found a deadline they can hit. I'm confused. Anyways, Doomsday Clock is amazing. It's a must-read if you like some deep, provocative story, if you like a lot of grit in your comic, if you like beautiful art. The art is amazing, astounding. There is some awesome stuff in this. Guy Gardner gets to let loose as Guy Gardner does, and I loved it. Doomsday Clock is a must-buy if you're a DC fan. If you're a Marvel fan, don't dip your toes in Doomsday Clock issue 9. just yet. I would say go back and get the trade for the other stuff and catch up before you do that. Or go back and hit eBay and buy the other stuff and catch up if you do that. You'll be confused. But it's a great, great damn story. So Doomsday Clock, pick of the week. Next, we're going to talk about Ziggy Pig and Silly Seal. This is a Marvel 80 Years comic. And I think this is just a one-shot. The only reason I read this is because it says Latveria. And I was like, whoa, Latveria, they're going to like Doomsland. And that's exactly what they do. And it turns out that Dr. Doom is a huge fan.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good on him.
So these are Porky Pig knockoffs, it feels like. And it's very Looney Tunes-esque. Except old Method Man comes up in it. At the back alley Comic-Con. Yeah, Method Man's in it. There's a few other people in it. There's Passed Out Hobo. Appearing as Passed Out Hobo. There's references to Spider-Ham, Deadpool's in it. This was actually a really, really good showing for a very silly book. It didn't take itself seriously. The Marvel 80 Years of book, I think they're just going over, old stuff they used to publish. And I had a great time with this book. So I would say if you like a little bit of cheese, you like Looney Tunes and stuff like that, this book is probably a good buy for you. I don't know if it's a kid's book, though. It seems a bit adult at times. Fair warning. Next is Young Justice, and oh, God. Young Justice has been awesome. Just awesome. What a good showing. What a great opening. So if you don't know, the Young Justice team has sort of been fallen into Gemworld after Gemworld failed an invasion into Earth, so they followed them to Gemworld, and they met Connor Kent there. And there are some revelations about Connor Kent, who has been missing since, how long has he been missing since? 2002? See, he's been missing for a long time. And there are some pretty awesome revelations about Connor Kent. Even more so, they got new members, Amethyst and Ginny Hex, who I guess is Jonah Hex's daughter, I think?
Yeah.
I think. Has it been confirmed yet?
I thought it was confirmed.
Okay. Well, at any rate, this is a great showing. A damn fine showing, good writing. The art is amazing. If you're a DC fan, I don't know why you're not into Young Justice, but actually you probably are because it's flying off our shelves. We honestly can't keep it on our shelves. So go figure, it's Bendis. Yep, Bendis and Gleason, and wow, there's a lot of writers and authors or artists tied to this book. Anyways, so Young Justice is awesome. Go pick this up. Run, don't walk. If you're a Marvel fan and you want to dip your toes in some DC, darn good book to do it. Yeah. Next, we're going to talk about one that took me by surprise by Greg Pak and Giannis Milano-Giannis. I can never pronounce names. I'm sorry. It's a crutch for me. Is it crutch? Is that a proper term? Yep. I don't know. I'm tired. So, anyways, this is Ronin Island, and this is a weird one. It takes place. There's a journey between two youths in this. They've got like a contest, a race, if you will, and they've got a duel and a bunch of other stuff. And it's between two sides. One is a kid who is descended from samurai, fought for the shogunate at one point when their island did. And the other one is a Korean girl who has just come from farmers and stuff like that. And so this is like an alternate history type thing.
Okay.
And so there is this island basically kept samurai traditions alive. And then lo and behold, somebody from the shogunate shows up, but they thought the shogun was dead. And then there's more stuff, an apocalyptic thing. There is zombies in play. This is samurais and zombies, it feels like. I don't know if they haven't confirmed they're zombies, but it's pretty darn cool. Yeah, man. So this is pretty awesome. I had a good time with this. This is actually not the main cover. This is the variant. But you should go and pick this up. This is a darn fine showing. Do you want to show the main cover? Oh, here it is. Here it is. So here's the two youth that are tied to this. But yeah. So this is a great showing and great art, and I had a good time with the story, and I want to read more. I want to know more about this sort of alternate world Ronin Island thing. Anyways, so great book. Go pick it up. Okay, so the next book is The Amazing Spider-Man Hunted. This means Kraven the Hunter is in play. This is issue 16.HU. And Kraven the Hunter is an old character. Old character. I think I remember him from when I was a kid reading Spider-Man comics. So yeah, basically he's coming into play, and this goes over Black Cat and Spidey's relationship. And Black Cat and Spidey had a whirlwind of a relationship. I still see stickers that somebody puts up all around Newark that show Spidey and Black Cat kissing. I don't know why, but it's awesome. They had a great relationship in comics. There was a lot of tension, a lot of angst, and she was pretty stuck on him too, and he was pretty stuck on her, to be honest with you. But Doctor Strange eventually wiped the world of Spider-Man's secret identity, so nobody knew who he was. And then, wild. Okay.
Picked up on the mic.
So, anyways, so Black Cat and Spider-Man had a pretty wild relationship, and she was stuck on him. Doctor Strange wiped the memory of the world for Spider-Man's secret identity, so nobody could remember him, and including his ex, Black Cat. She had no idea who he was, and so she went and she confessed to him, like I think a couple issues back, that it broke her heart. So he revealed himself again to Black Cat, and it was really touching. And she is a character, she's deeply flawed. She clearly, from reading this book, she clearly still loves Parker. Part of her still does. And it's great. It's great. That character is written so well. And it shows in this story. This was a good read. I wasn't looking forward to The Hunted. I thought dusting off Kraven the Hunter was not going to be that much fun. And yet, I'm having a great time with this book. So if you're into Marvel, you're into Spider-Man, go check this out. You're into Black Cat, go check this out. If you're DC and you want to dip your toes in something Marvel that's fun, check this out. Next is the Female Furies. I gotta warn people about this. God, I gotta warn people about this. The one book that I did not like was Female Furies. And hear me out. I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to say that the Furies came from Apocalypse, where the rules weren't really written, and they had a hard time because life there was a bit more brutal. But these books have had sexual harassment in them. They've had rape. They've had rape of more than one person. They've had people blaming people. It's very brutal. It's very brutal, and it's not. It doesn't feel like a book written for these times. It feels like something else, and that's what I'm gonna preface this. I don't think it's a particularly good book, and I've given it 2 issues. I'm gonna give it 1 more issue, but I'm not having a good time with it, and I get it. Like they're eventually they're gonna bounce back from this, I guess. It's not really something that feels right in today's climate, but you know, it is what it is. So don't read this book if any of those subjects bother you. Just stay away. I hate to say it. If they remotely bother you, stay away. I didn't have a good time with this book. I can't recommend it to you. I'm sorry. Next is Batman, and this is, what do we know about what Batman's been going through?
Hell?
Yeah, he's been dealing with all types of stuff with Bane.
Then
His dad's in play. Yeah, his dad, Thomas Wayne, is in play. We're not entirely sure why. And then it was confirmed a few issues ago that he was in nightmares, spelled with a K, and that he was basically strapped to a chair. It was said that he was strapped to a chair, and the Joker toxin was hitting him, and there was nothing he could do. And so he was just having these nightmares. And each one of these has been amazing. I thought it was just going to be a tropey thing. I thought it was going to be kind of filler. But each one of these books has read like poetry, like deep and beautiful poetry. And he comes to these revelations about both life and his relationship with Catwoman in this book. And it's so delivered so well. There's Catwoman and the Question in this book. And that's about it. There's a few cameos in the artwork, but it's mostly a conversation between Catwoman and the Question. And it's great. It's so great. It's so well written. So God bless you, King. I honestly love Tom King. I think he's my almost favorite DC writer. I still Jeff Johns and his Green Lantern Corps run still is my favorite of all time. But this is a very, very, very close second right now. Tom King, you're killing it, so keep it up. So Batman is a must-read if you're a DC fan. If you're a Batman fanboy, of course you're reading this. If you're a Marvel fan and you want to dip your toes in some good writing on the DC side, this is the book to do it with. Had a great time. Next, we're going to read A Walk Through Hell. And, oh Lord, we talked about some horrible stuff. And that was in the Female Furies book. And this one is not that great either. I mean, I get what they're doing. They're telling a horror story and they've got to get messed up. But it's the same things. There's some rape in this story. Prison rape. And it was not a happy thing. So, A Walk Through Hell, if you like horror, you might like A Walk Through Hell. But this is... It doesn't feel fully like horror. It's more like deep psychological stuff in this issue. And honestly, maybe I shouldn't have jumped in on book 8, but it was a little much for me. Even as a horror fan, it was a little much. So A Walk Through Hell, if you're into this, check it out. I don't think you should jump in on this book if you're not into this kind of thing. Next, we're going to talk about one of my favorite brands in comics right now, and that's good old Image Comics with Deadly Class. And oh god, Deadly Class is so good. They returned to form real hardcore. Nice. So if you don't know, pretty much half of the second year and most of the first year class, I think it was on the run. Some of them died in Mexico, and then they decided that they were gonna go back to King's Dominion. Meanwhile, Saya is dealing with her brother, who has taken her sword and has pretty much ruined her reputation and has taken control of her family's crime syndicate. Yeah, Yakuza crime syndicate. So she's going through it, and this is her rising up and dealing with all that stuff, and it's great. Oh God, it's so good. Each one of these, we've only had 2 of these Deadly Class books that they've started back up since the last trade. I think they were on hiatus. But each one has been outstanding. And though the weird thing is when I started with the Art of Deadly Class, I wasn't too sure about it. The first trade I read, I was like, I was kind of on the fence. It has so grown on me. In fact, I love it. I love the grittiness to this art. This story is so well written. Everybody needs to check out this story. I've had the best time with Deadly Class. I can't recommend it enough, so check it out. Next, we're going to talk about Meet the Skrulls. And and they're hiding. They're hiding in plain sight because the Skrulls are shape changers, and they're hiding as the Warner family, which I love because Steve is actually related to a family of people named the Warners, and they're great people. They're some of my favorite customers, so I love that fact. So the Skrulls are named the Warners. Anyways, the Skrulls are living in America, and they're trying to hide in plain sight, but pretty much superheroes and the government are building a system. I can't remember what it's called right now, but they're building a system to detect the Skrulls. And so the family of Skrulls are trying to sabotage it, except for everyone is hitting their points, they're doing their objectives, they're being, spy-like, except the daughter. She was like, I got mad at these girls at school because they killed a caterpillar. And they're like, what is your problem? So I'm having a good time with Skrulls. I know it's issue number 1, and it's usually too soon to say this. I have to see like 2 or 3 more issues, but I want to know more. This feels like The Americans. It feels like a spy thriller mixed with superheroes, and I liked it. I had a good time. And I know that there was the Meet the Skrulls before, right? There was a Skrull family comic before. I think so. I think it's been a few years, but yeah. Oh, man, this next one hurts so bad. It hurts so bad. So Green Arrow is coming to an end, and the last issue is issue 50, and it's a giant issue. I mean, it's almost a trade paperback size issue, and for good reason. There's a lot of content to cover, and it's a beautiful goodbye to this book. I loved it. I love the way it's written. But you know what? I got to tell you guys, Green Arrow has been an amazing run. That writer there can write trauma, and he's written about Arsenal's death and people coping, and some of the villains coping with it. And it's just been a beautiful story. Like this writer Kelly, they really understand like the human spirit and how to write torture. And I've loved it. It's been a beautiful run. I don't know why it's ending. They said on Twitter that the comic is coming to an end, but stay tuned because there's something else coming. So I don't know what that means. Does that mean they're the brave and the bold, or or some other new comic is going to come out of it.
I hope so.
I have no idea. I can't wait, though. I can't wait for that. I'm sad to see Green Arrow's comic come to an end, though. This has been just an amazing run, and if you weren't reading Green Arrow, come get the back issues. It's been great. I haven't had a bad time with any of the Green Arrow books. Yeah, so on to the next book. That is Hot Shots. This is Domino. Domino with her super team. Hot Shots. I can't remember all the characters that are on it. I have memory issues. Sorry, guys. But, however, Hot Shots has been amazing. They're dealing with... stop me if you've heard this one before. An asteroid falls to the Earth, and, you know, it's infecting someone who got too close to it when it got there, and cosmic stuff happens.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty...
Kind of tropey.
It's kind of tropey,
Yeah.
but still had a good time with it. Had a great time with it. I don't know the super team all that well, but I want to know more, and I can't wait for the next issue. So I think Hot Shots #1. If you like this sort of thing, you'll jump in here. It's not a bad read by any means. I had a good time with it. There's a couple characters that are in play in this. I can't spoil who they are. I mean, you could probably see Black Widow as one of them on the cover. But yeah, so Hot Shots, check it out. Next, we picked up 2 of these. We didn't get the first printing of Blossom 666. I don't know why, it just never showed up. So we got the second printing. So this is technically old. But then we got the next issue, issue #2 of Blossom 666. So I'm going to tell you about this. Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay. So this is Archie Horror. So we know whenever we see the Archie Horror label, it's sort of the same universe that Vampironica, Jughead the Hunger, where Jughead's a werewolf. And were there any others in there? Was Sabrina Archie Horror? She was, right?
She was,
I think she was the first Archie Horror. But yeah, so this is following the Blossom kids. There is Cherry and Julian, and I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember the names. But basically, they are brothers and sisters, and they are evil. Their family is like worshiping the devil. One of them is the Antichrist, I guess it's been determined, and they don't know who, but they're competing to figure it out. And this is twisted. Like, this is some... I'm shocked that this even has the Archie label on it. It feels like, what was that Sarah Michelle Gellar weird movie where it was like her and the other guy were like doing pervy stuff to people behind the scenes and like pulling strings? Do you remember that movie?
Yeah, I do.
I can't remember the name of it.
Something.
Oh well.
Yeah, it was
Some
in the
90s movie.
Yeah.
But it feels like that. Like they're pulling strings on people. They're getting people to do things behind the scenes that people wouldn't normally do. They're evil.
They made fun of it, not another teen movie. I remember that.
Yeah, they're evil. That doesn't mean I didn't have a good time. I had a great time with this. I think this is horror written right. It's a little campy at times, but it's not too bad. I had a fun time with this. So Blossom 666, you know who you are if you like this sort of thing. But if you don't, if horror is not your cup of tea, you should probably stay away from the Archie horror line altogether. Next is Justice League. It says when Metropolis attacks, shows the Daily Planet eating people.
Oh,
That's shocking.
is that one?
Yeah, so we need to talk about this book, because this book, I'm gonna spoil a little bit of it. So if you get this warning, skip ahead a few minutes if you don't want a little bit spoil. I'm not gonna spoil the whole thing, but it has Mr. Mxyzptlk in it. And what do we know about Justice League? What's going on? They're dealing with the totality. Legion of Doom is trying to summon Perpetua. Yeah, yep. And that's a wholly bad thing. They want to stop that. Meanwhile, there's new powers and there's a whole bunch of other new stuff, and everything's changing. So they trap Mr. Mxyzptlk, and they try to get him to help them. And basically, they need info on the 5th dimension. But he's like, well, it's pointless. You don't need the 5th dimension. What you need is the 6th dimension. He explains it. He explains all the dimensions. The 1st dimension is a point. The 2nd dimension is a line. The 3rd dimension is where you get form and stuff, where you get your stuff. The 4th dimension is time. And he's like, it's boring, And he's like, the 5th dimension is imagination. And we get the whole of the multiverse from imagination. And it actually creates everything around us. And I thought it was beautiful that they put that in there and that they made it that way.
That is the most Disney thing I've ever
Oh, but it was so good. I don't care if it feels Disney. It's nice to hear that from DC. And then they said the sixth dimension, well, I can't explain it to you. I've got to show it to you. And they explained that Mr. Mxyzptlk, although he's a trickster, he's technically a guardian angel for Superman because he does something in this. And then he says there's another guardian angel for Batman. You know who that is? Do you know?
I want to say I did know.
It's Batmite. Batmite.
Are you kidding?
I don't believe them. They're tricksters. I don't think they're guardian angels. I think they're up to something. But you'll have to read the comic and find out. Next is Killmonger, and this is the wrap-up. This is the last issue for Killmonger. This explains how he got to where he could destabilize things, how he could play the games he could play, how he could mess stuff up, how he came onto a warpath with Wakanda. And it's great. This whole run has been awesome. If you haven't been reading Killmonger, I don't know what you're reading, but you're missing out. This covers the whole Knight, Rook, King, Queen. I can't remember the name of that group, but they're in play here. He's a member of them, and it's just pretty much the build-up to how he became Killmonger. And it was well written. Like, I identified so much with this character. I identified so much with this character, I almost feel bad for him at times. I want to go back and rewatch Black Panther and maybe even root for him at times. It's kind of, yeah, but he had a hard life, and he went through a lot to get to who he was. And now he's pretty cutthroat, so you get to read that in this issue. But I recommend going back. Don't start with this issue if you haven't read it. Go back and get the other ones. We got some of them. They're great. They're a great read. Check them out. So if you're a Marvel fan, you should be jumping on this. If you're a Black Panther fan, you should be jumping on this. If you're a DC fan, don't start with this book. Wait for the trade or come get the back issues from us. Okay, next book is Star Wars Age of Republic, Padme Amidala. I've known her for years, and yet the name still eludes me sometimes. So this is following Padme, and this is during the Age of the Republic, obviously. And it's got a lot of intrigue. It's got, some back and forth, and it was, I mean, it was okay.
Okay.
It was okay.
Didn't suck?
It didn't suck, but it wasn't great.
Okay.
Like, it was okay. I'd like to see more from this character. I don't know. It felt a little forced, the plot, and they didn't build much from it. I don't know. It was okay. If you're a Star Wars fan, you're probably going to jump in on this. If you like the Age of Republic stuff, you should probably jump in on this. If you're anyone else, I hate to say it, but it's wholly skippable. And it hurts me to say that. Next is Astro Hustle. And oh my god, this is a 70s comic if there ever was a 70s comic.
That's kind of what we picked.
This has a 70s feel. This is drawn like a 70s comic. I mean, you can almost hear the funk while you read this. It's about, are you ready for it? What's the weirdest, most sci-fi 70s setting you could think of?
Disco Planet.
Maybe. I mean, it sort of feels like that, but it's more space pirates.
Yeah.
70s space pirates with a full-blown ship with like a solar sail. Like, it is the weirdest story, and yet I had an all right time with it. I mean, it was a little weird. I saw some of the twists coming. And it's written in a very old style. So if you don't like a little bit of that old kind of classic comic feel, this is probably not your cup of tea. But I had a pretty good time with it. This is one of the better showings from Dark Horse. And this is issue 1 of 4. So there's going to be a few more. Check it out. Next is the Age of XMen, Prisoner X. And we've been talking about these books. I've liked these books, haven't I?
Yeah.
I think I've liked most of them. I was worried that it was going to get a little slow. This is basically X-Man has built himself a utopian mutant society, but some of the rules are a little iffy. Like, you're not allowed to like have physical love with other people. Children are birthed in pods now. You're not allowed to use firearms. Yeah, so this follows people that are in prison. And one of them, right there in the front, who's that?
That would be Bishop.
That would be Bishop. And so Bishop is in trouble for a couple of reasons. One, he's fallen in love with someone, so they cite that. And two, he likes guns. He likes guns. So he's in trouble. He's in prison. He's being reprogrammed. Beast is there. Polaris is there. What's her name again? Moon? Is that her name? No. That's not her name. I can't remember her name. It's gonna drive me nuts. I'm not super up on mutants. Oh, but Honey Badger's there.
Honey Badger, yes.
Yeah. So anyways, I'm still trying to keep all the mutant names straight. I haven't been a mutant fan ever. So, but I'm having a great time with these, and this is that fun hasn't stopped. In fact, this is the most dystopian of the utopian books, and I had the best time with this book. It got a little twisted, a little violent, and they're all kind of remembering who they used to be, and they're sort of coming to terms that this reality is not something that they should accept. And I like that. I can't wait to see where this stuff goes. Having the best time with all the Age of XMen books. Come buy them. They're great. If you like X-Men stuff, I don't think they're as good as Uncanny. I would rate them under Uncanny, but they're the second best of all the X-Men stuff that's been out lately. I don't know. If you liked X-Men Red and Blue and Gold, I guess maybe those books were for you, and you might not like these books that much, but I didn't have a good time with those books, and I'm loving these. So, oh well. Next is Immortal Hulk, and we talked about how Immortal Hulk has been just the best horror comic of the year, and I thought for certain after he got out of hell that trend was gonna stop, but this one had me on the edge of my seat, and it wasn't necessarily horror. It was like thriller. Like, is this gonna happen? Is it gonna turn out this way? And then I think we're gonna see some old other Hulks are gonna pop up in this story. So we know Thaddeus is dead. The Red Hulk is dead. But he's been dead like 4 times. And they comment on that in this. They're like, we had like 4 different funerals for this guy. So I said some words, but I don't know if he's really like... So, but we are definitely going to see another Hulk in this. We've seen that in this issue. So if you want to know which Hulk it is, you're going to need to read it. It's not Joe Fixit. It's not the Gray Hulk. That's all I'm going to tell you. I wish it was, because I love him.
Right.
Next is Harley Quinn, and the Harley books are weird for me because they don't take themselves very seriously. Yeah, I don't know. It's sort of weird. It's wacky. Yeah, it's very sort of Deadpool-y at times. So anyways, Harley is trying to become the Angel of Retribution. She's been nominated. She's been picked to become the Angel of Retribution, and she's being tried. So she has different trials, and one of them was she's being cursed by some witches, and she has to break the curse. And that's this whole story. And it's pretty self-contained, although it's tied to a greater story of her becoming the Angel of Retribution. She has dreams about being this thing. It's very Steven Universe-y is what it looks like. However, had a great time with it. It doesn't take itself seriously. It is tied to a deeper storyline, but if you like Harley, you know who you are. If you like Deadpool, you probably like Harley. If you like Harley, what other titles? I don't know.
Old Lady Harley is a good one.
Old Lady Harley is a good one that doesn't take itself seriously. So Cosmic Ghost Rider is another one that doesn't take itself seriously. We're going to talk about that in a second. But I had a great time with this book. So, jump in on Harley if you're a DC fan. If you're a Marvel fan, you should probably just go for Deadpool then. Just saying. So, next is Cosmic Ghost Rider destroys Marvel history. Okay, so let's go over stuff he's done so far. Let's see. What did he do? He became the Herald of Galactus after accepting a deal with Mephisto and going a little crazy, being on the Earth forever with no people. Yep. So he's Frank Castle, but he's messed up Frank Castle. And then he decided he was going to go kidnap the baby, Thanos' baby, and raise Thanos.
Because that didn't backfire.
Yeah. And then it turned into Punisher Thanos, so that blew up in his face. So what do you think is the worst decision he could probably do right now?
Go back in time?
No, well, I mean, he's living through time again.
Yeah.
So what is the worst thing he could probably do to himself?
God, I don't know at this point. What do you got for me?
Go and try and prevent the massacre of his family. That doesn't create any paradoxes, right? So he goes and he hangs out with his kid, and he starts to tell his kid about how, oh, you like superheroes? Well, did you know the Fantastic Four was the Fantastic Five? Because I was once a member. It's great. It's very silly. It doesn't take itself seriously. If you read Cosmic Ghost Rider, you know what to expect. If you read the last Cosmic Ghost Rider event, his beginning event. You know what to expect. This is great. I had a good time with this. If you like funny in your comics, you like that good like just exciting laughing escapism. This is great, and there's so many references to famous Fantastic Four events in this book. So I think everybody should run out and read this. I think if you're a Marvel fan, jump in. If you're a DC fan and you're looking to jump in on something Marvel, this is a good time. Cosmic Ghost Rider, almost my pick of the week. Too bad it came out at the same time as Doomsday Clock, right?
Yeah.
Next is Deadpool, and we looked at this cover and we thought, like, is that Captain Britain with a mace? Like, I don't know who this is. Yeah, it's not. It's not. It's actually a new character called Goodnight.
Oh.
Goodnight. Deadpool has been getting paid for jobs he didn't finish. Somebody else is killing his mark. And it turns out it's Goodnight, and he doesn't quite know why, and it's sort of pissing him off. So, like, he calls up at the very beginning, he's, like, calling up, like, a mafia don, and he's like, yo, somebody killed them, it wasn't me. He's like, so what, you don't want the money? And he's like, I mean, it pains me to say this, but kind of, I've got a rep. And they're like, well, why don't you take the money and figure out whoever's doing this, and then you can pay them if you want. Like, it goes from there. That's how this book opens. So I had a really good time with this book. I want to know what's going to happen next. It sort of left it on a pretty nasty cliffhanger. But, Deadpool, if you like Deadpool, you know who you are. You should be reading this anyway. If you're looking for a good comedic Marvel book, Deadpool is always a good choice. So go check this out. Always. And next is Deathstroke. And Deathstroke has had a rough year. He's been locked up in Arkham. He was tricked into killing his psych. And then his handler, Wintergreen. So one thing I loved about this book is it's the beginning of the Terminus agenda. So Deathstroke was tasked with killing a person, and he couldn't figure out why. Like, he did the job, but he couldn't figure out why, because this person had no dirty laundry in their history at all. They were a perfectly nice person. So he starts asking that question. And he thinks the only reason why is because it was a test. And that's all. I can't say anything else beyond that. But that's the beginning of the Terminus agenda. And then one thing I really liked about this book is it has Deathstroke's Wintergreen, who is kind of his handler. I would say less mentor, more of a handler, hanging out with Commissioner Gordon. And they are, like, comparing notes. Like, one is talking about, like, his guy, and the other one is talking about his guy. And it's great. Like, I didn't care as much for the Deathstroke scenes as I did for the Gordon and the Wintergreen scenes. Like, it was great. It was a good showing. So whoever wrote this did a darn good job. Who's writing Deathstroke right now? Do you know? Is it Christopher Priest? It says known associates. I don't know who Christopher Priest is, though. Who's writing this right now? I don't know who's writing Deathstroke right now. My brain is on the fritz right now. Anyways, but Deathstroke has been pretty good. This was a much better showing, and I really like the way those two characters were written. So go check this out. It's building towards a fight with the Teen Titans, but that should be no surprise because Deathstroke and the Teen Titans, they fight together like oil and water. Yeah, they don't go together, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I'm not using that my brain can't think, man. I'm running on Ramadan fumes. Anyways, so that's all of our books for the week, and I guess we can do that drawing now, can't we?
Oh, yeah. So here's the thing with the drawing.
Yeah.
Prep on that.
Oh, here's the thing with the drawing. We got some new posters. Oh, yeah.
So we had artist Lawrence Ararte.
Oh, I gotta tell this. Yeah. Come tell this. You come tell this. You were here.
Okay, I was here. I will tell it. So Lawrence Ararte, 90s comic book artist, good friend of the store, came down. We're just like, hey man, do you mind if I just come down and sketch some stuff out? And we're like, yeah, come on down. And he got these, and we told him, dude, do you mind if we give these away at the video? And he's like, please do. So here we go.
So Lawrence did these, and it's kind of a funny story because Lawrence can't tell us what he worked on directly in the 90s. He's not allowed to because of like non-disclosure agreements, but we do know the company he worked for was tied to... No, we didn't get anything. He didn't tell us anything. But anyway, so he sort of worked tied to a major company. but he wasn't allowed to tell us anything else. And so he's been doing art for us and stuff like that. And on top of that, he produces movies and directs movies. Yeah, and he's been doing some big stuff behind the scenes. He sort of filled us in, but we can't share it because it's not our business to share. Anyways, so he comes down and he draws from time to time, and he makes some really nice artwork. And I think you were telling me that one of the other the restaurant owners that's over here like came in and he was like, "Hey, you do art?" And Lawrence is like, "Yeah, I do art." And he's like, "Do you want to host like a paint night at a restaurant?" He's like, "I mean, yeah, I could." And he has no idea the kind of person he's talking to. He's talking like...
Lawrence just roll with it like, let's do this. No, Lawrence he loves his work, man.
Lawrence is pretty awesome. We love him here at the store. So we're gonna have these. We're gonna raffle these off. So we'll call out your name, and if you're the first one in, you get the first pick. They're on bags, but you get an original piece of artwork that is really, really dope from an amazing artist.
Or if your name is still waiting to get picked up over here, you can come pick up your stuff.
Oh, yeah, if you came down fast, you could get your stuff. So let's spin the wheel. Are you ready to check these out? Oh, yep. Whoa, there's one already falling out. I'm going to stuff it back in and spin it.
Wake up.
I'm giving you a second.
Come on, no.
Wow, I drew out the one that I just put back and like switched around.
That's wild, man.
That's wild. That's wild, man. Should I talk like Joe Rogan? That's wild, man. You ever tried DMT?
All right, so let's look up this customer of yours. Number 77.
Number 77.
Sam Shea.
Sam Shea. So if you are Sam Shea, come through and get your custom artwork. $150.
All right, $150 is going to bring us up to Eric Serrano.
Eric Serrano, you want some custom art. And then 75.
75. Let's see, that is going to be Josh Arnold.
Josh Arnold, you want some custom art. So that's our comic reviews for the week and our contest. And if let's shoot for a goal. Let's shoot for 50 subscribers. So we need 3 more subscribers. That's our goal for the week. So hopefully by next week we have 50 subscribers. How great would that be?
Yeah.
Right? And so like and subscribe this video if you liked our content.
Don't forget to hit that bell icon.
Oh yeah, that's what they always say. They go, make sure you click like and make sure you click subscribe and make sure you hit that bell icon so you know whenever I can't do that.
We're going to do that.
Are we gonna do that?
Totally do that. Let's do that.
And then we gotta start every video with "It's your boy." It's your boy.
For this video.
Everyone's been asking for this video. It's your boy.
All right. So do the dance.